RJ with the clock down. RJ step back for two. Rattle it in.
I remember last season I was watching this Raptors-Pacers game, and I was there in person to witness RJ Barrett score a season high 39 points. It was amazing. This guy was really impressive. But again, after the game, I left, went back home, and I still came away thinking that he should be traded. RJ's time in Toronto is a pretty interesting one, in my opinion. And it's because of what people see in this game. Because I see people view him as a star player that's basically their best player on most nights. And I see other people saying he's a toxic asset that should never touch the floor in closing minutes. There's a funny dichotomy when it comes to people debating whether or not RJ is worth his contract. And obviously a lot of that is on Raptors Twitter. I also see Knicks fans still talking about RJ though. But it's one of those guys, like, you just think with his skill sets and the numbers he put up last season, right? You see the raw production. He was one of 10 players to put up at least 21 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in a season. Okay, obviously he didn't play enough games to even qualify for any awards. But you look at the guys that he's paired up with in this list, right? Yeah, he is the outlier, clear outlier, not an all-star level player. Now, I know Luka didn't make the all-star game last season, but that's because of injuries. He would have made it if he played the games. But everybody else, they did make the all-star game, except for RJ. And bro, shout out this creator, Jack Rabbit. I seen a video from him that he made about RJ 3 months ago. And I'm not gonna lie, bro. I saw it today, by the way. Okay, it got me to subscribe immediately. Actually, wait, I'm not subscribed yet. Let me change that right now. Yep. He did a great job outlining the RJ's strengths and his weaknesses that make him so confusing, right, as a player, and how you advise. For better or for worse, he was given the green light to basically play his game, right, drive at the rim, right, rim run and transition. This guy, RJ Barrett, he was electric at some points in the season, and I was happy to see some of these things I was seeing in his tenure in Toronto over the last 2 years, that honestly, he looks like a better player. Even dating back to last season, he looks like a better player in Toronto than he did in New York. And I think primarily that's because they play him at his natural position, which is the shooting guard position. And the Knicks, they try to play him as a 3, which was not really his position, right? And obviously, his strengths of driving down the rim, it's a great one for a player that if he embraces a tertiary scoring option role with BI coming in, right, and in the position where the team actually is maximizing to his strengths, man, that could be a game changer for the Raptors. But unfortunately, the signs haven't been there over the last 2 years that he could do that with the team if the roster gets better. And honestly, the best way to summarize RJ Barrett is he puts up star numbers, but honestly, he doesn't impact the floor like a star. And as a role player, he has the skill sets to translate into a good one. But when you dive deeper into the stats, those skill sets do get backfired by his weaknesses offensively, that in turn ends up with him not impacting winning at that level either. Not efficient enough to be a driver, not efficient enough as a shooter, defensively gets targeted. It's like he just might be a losing player. And I think that's something that, you know, it's unfair to characterize him as a losing player, especially over the last 2 years. He's playing on a tanking team with a lot of roster moves that are changing the complexity of the roster, right? Guys in and out of the rotation because they're injured. Like, it's not all on RJ for this team losing, right? Despite scoring the most points in the clutch for the team, he was considerably one of the worst players that I've seen in the rotation in the clutch in terms of some of the shot selection. But I get it. Last season, he was being overtasked, right? And I think that's really the big thing with RJ, man. If he could adapt to being a role player, I think things would be so much easier for him. I think he could really make a good case for himself as being an actually good player on a good contract. But again, a lot of his strengths end up biting him in the ass when you realize that, oh, wait, he can't finish at the rim at a decent level. Oh, wait, his finishing at the rim isn't elite? Damn. His free throw percentage isn't good enough to where when he draws those fouls, he's not going to convert them at the line? Oh, no. And it's like, you begin to realize, wait, he can't space the floor as well? And he can't defend as well? Damn. So as a role player, at that point, you become a negative immediately. As a star, I mean, you could put up the numbers. You'll still have some level of impact in the game because the team needs you to be scoring and initiating plays. And his playmaking has improved since he's been a Raptor. But honestly, it's one of those things. I think a lot of people, they see RJ as a player that should not be a star player on a contending team, right? And that as a role player, You just can't put enough pieces together to where he's going to be a positive as a role player. And that's where we come into this season where, man, he's flipping the script. Oh boy, he's flipping that script. He is showing people that, yes, he can adapt to being a tertiary scoring option. With Scotty, BI on the floor, BI has been a breath of fresh air for this team. He's been great for RJ Barrett as well. I think RJ, out of any players playing alongside BI, has benefited the most from his gravity and BI's playmaking. I mean, this dude BI was cooking against the Grizzlies, but so was RJ, who had 27 points to Brandon Ingram's 26. And let's get into some of these stats that RJ is putting up at the rim, his shooting at the line, and even his shooting from the three-point line, all going up. His true shooting being up as well, his usage rate being down a lot as well. All the haters thinking he couldn't adapt to this role. Hey, so far, it's looking like he can. Right, last season, RJ leading the team in scoring. I'm pretty sure he also led the team in usage. And yes, he did at 28.1%. RJ Barrett leading the team in usage. And now RJ's usage is actually much lower than 28. It's at 22.5%. And I know some people are going to dismiss this because it's only 7 games. But in the first 7 games, RJ looking really good on offense, right? As a tertiary scoring option now for this team. As you can see here, shooting being up in all fields, shooting less free throws a game, driving less at the rim, but it's paid off tremendously to where he has one of the highest true shooting percentages on the roster right now. When last season, you would have to scroll down here until you see him at number 10, where he's shooting below league average at 52.3% true shooting. I mean, this is disgusting, man. I mean, it was nasty to see. His shooting at the line also got better. I mean, is that a 15+% jump? Right, a 12% true shooting jump. The field goal percentage speaks for itself. Let's look at the rim finishing for a little bit. RJ Barrett went from shooting 47% off of drives last season to where now he's shooting 58+% off of drives now. And that's on less attempts also, right? He's taking less attempts at the rim. He's taking less attempts from the line, right? And he's shooting it at a much better clip. RJ Barrett sub 60% shooting less than 5 feet last season. It was bad. And boy, I'm happy to tell you that's jumped up to 76+%. That's obviously going to drop down a little bit as the season goes on. A lot of these numbers are probably going to dip, but I think some of these looks that he's getting, actually a lot of these looks he's getting are very, very good looks, very easy looks. He's fitting well. He's fitting much better in the offense with Scotty and BI than Emmanuel Quickly has, which is, I think, to me, the biggest surprise out of all this. Quickly, I think a lot of people have criticized the contract that he's on, right? It's overpay or whatnot. RJ Barrett, he was already labeled as a toxic asset to begin with. I think people, when they looked at the trade initially, they saw RJ as a throw-in on that trade. And it's looking like RJ might actually be a prize in that trade that, you know, we overlooked. A lot of us overlooked, even me. I wanted him traded the whole summer, man, the whole offseason. It wasn't a secret. I wanted him traded. Out of any player, I want him gone. But I can't deny the things he's provided on offense, we can't replace. At least not with a player that we can get right now in the immediate future, right? RJ in transition has been great. RJ as a player off of BI, playing off of Scotty, has looked way better than expected. And you could say, well, look, these numbers are going to dip, just like a lot of these players' numbers are going to dip later in the season. But I think what RJ is providing for everybody is a calm and reliable option at the offensive end that could help BI, that could help Scotty, right? And it's something that I think could pay dividends into his career long term, to where right now, RJ is eligible for an extension, right? And we know the Raptors aren't keen to be giving him an extension anytime soon. But if he keeps playing this level, I mean, who's to say that RJ's extension doesn't end up being a fruitful one for him? RJ has been doing the most with what he's been given, and he's always been happy and professional in his time in Toronto. He's always tried to play the right way, despite his weaknesses showing up a lot of times, despite me wanting to see him get traded. I'm not going to lie, bro. I can admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong about this guy. And I know it's only 7 games, but I've seen enough. This guy can adapt to this role. This guy is going to be an impactful player for us if we end up winning more of these games. I'm telling you, if we end up in the playoffs, a good chunk of that will be because of RJ Barrett.